Hello there. You're welcome once again, our esteemed viewers, to your favorite mathematics YouTube channel, Mathematics by Abu Zainab, a channel specially designed for you and I to demystify mathematics and tackle the age-long phobia associated with this very important subject, mathematics, one topic at a time. As you have seen from our previous videos, that math is a lot fun and easier than you could fathom. In our last lesson, we looked at the topic indices and the various ways of resolving questions involving indices in terms of applying the laws of indices. Today, we are going further by evaluating indices. There's a clear difference between simplifying and evaluating, though these terms are actually used interchangeably. However, to evaluate precisely means to get a value, usually a number, whereas simplify basically means the other side of it. Today, we are looking at precisely how to evaluate indices without the use of calculators, because some exams might require you to evaluate without calculator, particularly exit type questions or an exam whereby calculators are actually prohibited. How do you go by it? Let's dive in by looking at these 4 examples. Question 1. We have to evaluate 27 to the power of minus 2 over 3. That's the question, without calculator. The clue is as simple as working with the denominator of the index. The index or power is minus 2 over 3. So the denominator of that is actually 3. That's the clue. So in other words, we must express this number 27 as a number to the power of this denominator 3. And that simply is 3 to the power of 3, which is 27. What informs this 3? Again, the denominator here. Hence, we have minus 2 over 3. So I have not changed the question in any form whatsoever. I'm simply writing this 27 as 3 to the power of 3. So by the law of indices from our previous lessons now, we multiply this 3 with minus 2 third. This 3 cancels this 3. Hence, we are left with 3 to the power of minus 2, which is actually acceptable as an answer. However, we can simplify further. Remember again, in one of the laws of indices, whereby you have y to the power of minus m being 1 over y power m. We can bring that to bear here. So that's going to become 1 over 3 to the power of 2. You can see that the moment I write this 3 to the power of 2 as denominator, it loses its negative. And that is pretty much what this law is telling us. Hence, we have here 1 over 9. Again, 3 power 2 does not mean 3 times 2. It means 3 times 3. And that's the answer of this question number 1, which I believe is quite straightforward. Without others, let's go straight to question number 2. So we have number 2 as 36 to the power of half times 64 to the power of 2/3 divided by 64 to the power of half. Without much others, it's pretty much the same. We look at the index and the denominator. So here we have denominator 2. In other words, we must express 36 as a number to the power of 2. And what the number is 6. 6 power 2, that's 36 to 1 over 2 times, now we have 3 here. Now, if you can look at this question, 64 and 64 here, it's quite tricky, but it's very simple here. It's meant to establish something. That is the denominator here that determines what we use here. We know that 64 can be 4 times 4 times 4, as is the case here. And it can be 4 times 4. And it can be 8 times 8 rather. So here we're going to have 4 times 4 raised to power 3 rather, then 2/3. So I have simply written 64 as 4 power 3. What informs this power 3 is the denominator here, which is 3. However, the same 64, we can't use 4 power 3 here because the denominator here is 2. And so we're going to use 8 power 2, which is still 64. So what informs what we use is the denominator. That's the essence. So we have here 2 cancels 2, we're going to have just ordinary 6 times 3 cancels 3, we're going to have 4 power 2 divided by 2 cancels 2, we're going to have 8 power 1. And that's all. Hence, we are going to have 6 times 16 divided by 8. That's times divided by 8. So 8 in 16 is simply 2. Hence, the answer is 12 without calculators. It's pretty much easy, as I believe it is. If so, let's go to the next question. Question 3. Pretty much different because of the decimal nature. So we have 0.0001 to the power of minus r. Before we even talk about the power, the very first headache is to get this converted from decimal to fraction. And 0.0001 in fraction simply means 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 10,000. That is it. All raised power minus half. That's step 1. Then we can go further and say, okay, how can we express this fraction all as a number to the power of 2? Because 2 is the denominator here. So I'm going to have, that's 1 over 100. 1 over 100. Because 100 to the power of 2 gives us 10,000. So all raised power 2. Yeah. Because 1 squared is 1. 100 squared is 10,000. So this is just the fraction now. We've written as power of 2. Not to forget, we still have minus 1 over 2 there. I believe that is not technical. The next thing is to we cancel that. We have 1 over 100 to the power of minus 1. And again, just as we have in our law, y power minus m equals 1 over y power m. We can choose to use this law, or we can actually use standard form here. So we can say, okay, this is actually 100 to the power of minus 1, which is still indices really. Because we are working backward from this to this now. Because from here we have 1 over 100, it's like saying 1 over this. So the moment it comes to the numerator, we're going to introduce minus here. So we have this. There is power the existing minus 1. And that gives us 100 raised power. Minus 1 times minus 1 is just 1. Hence we have just 100. And that's pretty much the answer. Very, very straightforward, really, if you ask me. Then the last one now, which is question 4. Again, it's a bit different from the first three in the sense that it's not that straightforward to get a value in the bracket that can be expressed to the power of, in this case, 2. We can never express a number, at least a whole number, to power 2 to get 27, likewise 75. So in such cases, at times, it's important to reduce using equivalent fractions. So let's divide through by 3. Divide through by 3 here, I'm going to have 9. Divide through by 3, I'm going to have 25. So that's the very first thing you do. So at times you have to do a little bit of readjustment. You can't get a number directly to the power of 2 here. To get it, so we just divide through by 3. Also divide through by 3. Divide 27 by 3, we have 9. By 3, we have 25. Which we can clearly see is actually 3 over 5 all squared. That is the 9 over 25. Then the power minus 1 over 2. So 2 cancels 2. We have 3 over 5 is power minus 1. Again, we can see this minus 1 as reciprocal. So this simply means equals to 5 over 3. And in mathematics, that's actually what number? 2 over 3. And that's pretty much the end of today's lesson, which has to do with evaluating indices without the use of calculators. Thank you and stay tuned.